So then let's fast forward. So 2015, this lifestyle is really coming into play. Were you in, I'm going to get to the journey to culture. And so were you in the food space after that, after truly embracing a vegan lifestyle?
So I wasn't. I was working in banking at the time, so I was not in food. But once I quit my job in banking, I was in college full time, and I was like, you know what? I at the time, my boyfriend, I said, hey, I really want to go full on entrepreneur. At the time, I was
Mhm.
also writing a children's book
Oh,
because I had other passions that I was pursuing as well throughout
mhm.
the whole journey. But I was like, I have some money saved up. I could support my end of things, but I want to do this. Do you have my back? And he was like, absolutely. Let's do it. So I quit my job, started. Of course, I was in school full time,
Mhm.
and that summer after I quit my job, a friend of mine, she was vegetarian at the time, and we were like, why don't we do a brunch out of? We could just do it out of my house, just throw a brunch. There was maybe one bakery here, and there was no vegan options. I
Oh,
mean, it was it was pretty crickets crickets in the vegan scene around here, and
mhm.
but there were people who were making strides to get us to where we needed to be as far as vegan options are concerned.
Okay.
And so we were like, let's just do a brunch, and did it. It was successful. We had a whole bunch of strangers in my living room. It was probably very illegal,
Okay.
but we did it.
Uh,
And it showed us that there was a need. People were super excited about it.
mhm.
And so we decided to keep going doing that and getting our food into different places, and going to events and doing vendor pop-ups and things like that. And it showed to be a need. And then after that, I decided I did not want to be a part of the dinner food scene because it felt like we were doing more dinner and more.
Okay.
I wanted more connected experiences, and I know where my connections are stronger, and it's in the morning over coffee.
Oh, I love that. I
So,
love that.
so I went back to my roots of wanting to get back into coffee and breakfast.
I love that. Going back to your roots, you knew, I mean, falling in love with breakfast and coffee growing up, and then boom, it's sort of coming into where you are now. So let's get into culture and tell me about the vision behind that.
So culture was a vision that I had when I was a kid. I was a teenager when I wanted to. It came in the form of I wanted to have like a speakeasy style joint where we could play music. There were performers. Um, there was live artists who can paint the whole experience, and really just an immersive, connected space where everybody from every different walk of life could come together and commune
Yeah.
and love on each other. And it was a safe space. People could express themselves. I mean, it was just an immersive experience. And I've always had this vision because growing up, I always felt like an outsider. I always felt like I didn't really have a place where I belonged. Um, and I wanted those connections. I
Mhm.
wanted to feel a part of a community that was bigger than me, and that I could really just be a part of and feel loved, and feel like they were my people. And so as I moved and grew and learned more about myself and more about my needs, I eventually discovered that I can have multiple communities and be a part of multiple communities and feel like each of those communities is my home. And so when I opened culture, um, I decided to do just that, to make sure that everybody who walked through that door was a part of my micro community.
Nice, nice. Hence, inspired the name.
Yes.
Yes.
So I picked culture because not because of a country style, or a culture related to a country or
Mhm.
certain
Right.
traditions and things like that, like the typical definition of culture, but rather each unique individual culture. So there are things and talents and things that ways that we express ourselves that we don't necessarily show the world.
Mhm.
There are things that I do in my own personal space that the world doesn't necessarily know I do, such as like write. I love to write. I love poetry. I love to, I love prose. I
Mm,
express myself. I love
mhm.
to do interviews. I love to act. I love to do all these things that I know I can bring to the world
Right.
and they can experience my own personal culture. And so that's what I sought to do when I opened culture, was to really hone in on the unique individuals and their own personal cultures that
Mhm.
they bring to a bigger culture.
Love that. So let's talk about finding the space and then getting to get it to open the doors.
Oh yes. So we started off as Culture Coffee and Tea Bar. Um we initially opened inside of an art gallery. Now, let me tell you how that happened because it kind of fell into my lap, which was awesome. So I was actually catering at this yoga studio, and there was a performance there that night. And one of the people from the art gallery, who I ended up being a part of the art gallery, one of their representatives came and was like, "Oh, have you heard of, this place?" And I was like, "No, actually, no, I had heard of it, but I'd never been there." And I was like, "I'm gonna have to check it out." And he was like, "Yeah, you definitely should. And you can host an event there or whatever." So we get there. So I ended up going to visit, loved it. It was very organic, organically driven. They had a really great mission. And I started hosting these art of coffee and tea art of coffee and tea meetups where people would come, we'd have conversations over coffee and tea and just hang out, and it was a really awesome experience. It was a great way for me to bring a community of people together who enjoyed the same things I did and just
Right.
have good casual conversations about it. I gave people the platform to talk about their own businesses and the things that they had going on as well. So it was also a networking experience.
Wow.
And so from there, the owner of the art gallery, she was like, "Well, what's your goal after when you graduate college and you know after everything, what's your goal? What's your goal?"
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, I want to open my own coffee shop." And she says, "I have this room that, was a martial arts guy was renting it out. And I've always imagined that a cafe would go really well there." And I was like, "Well, show it to me." Let's
Mhm.
see what happens. She showed it to me, and that's all she wrote.
Okay.
Yeah, this was, I think, March of 2018,
Okay.
and by July of 2018, I was ready to go.
Wow. Now you were juggling a lot. School and opening a business. I mean,
Yep.
being an entrepreneur is stressful enough. And then trying to get through school. I mean, how did you juggle that? How did you do that balance? Or was it a
Um, I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. just I went to school the way I went to school, and
Mhm.
I just kind of play. I mean, it took about 4 or 5 months total for me to get things up and rolling, and it was a small space. It was like
Mhm.
maybe two or three. It was like about 300 square feet,
Okay.
300 or 400 square feet. It was tiny. And so it wasn't a lot, but there were some things that I did have to put in there on my own, such as like plumbing and things like that. So it was just kind of a process. That same year, I also hosted the first Art of Coffee and Tea Expo in this area. That was super successful too. And we just advertised that we were opening there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of juggled it the best way I could, and it felt like it was fun for me to do. It was a nice experience, to see me be able to organize, execute.
Mhm.
plan, like all of that. It was just kind of happened naturally because I wanted it that bad.
Right. So how was opening day?
Opening day was terrible.
Oh,
It was busy and terrible. Very, very terrible. I was
wow.
not prepared.
Oh.
I had 2 employees. One was my nephew and one was my long-term friend. Um, yep, and then one of my best friend actually hopped in that day. She's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, y'all are going down. Let me just help you out real quick." And she hopped back there, and that was the point where I was like, "Yeah, you're my dog. Like, we this is it for life, right?" And
Wow.
but
Oh,
it
let's talk about that for a second. Was that not in the plan or did it just happen like that? So tell me about that piece in terms of the planning as a business owner
you mean, planning the opening day?
or planning your employees.
Okay, yeah, I just asked them if they would come work for me.
Okay.
It
Okay.
wasn't anything formal. I
Mhm.
said, "Will you come and work for me?" My nephew at the time was living with me,
Okay.
and, um, and he was also trying to find his way. He had just moved there, like,
Okay.
maybe a week before. He had just moved there, and so, yeah, I mean, he came and I did not train them. I just
Okay.
wanted them to hop in and know what they were doing. Um, and yeah, it was terrible. It did not go as it did not it was a beautiful experience that I
Mhm.
needed. It was very busy. People were super excited about being there. And that same day, the gallery had actually hosted a culture festival.
Oh,
So
okay. So you
so
had
we
that
also had
traffic.
people
Yeah.
coming from that. Yeah, so it was a really cool, experience, but, people did not get the experience that I know they could have gotten had I been more prepared.
So then did you step back, look at that and course correct?
Kind of, yeah.
Mhm.
So basically, that Monday, it was cricket.
Okay.
So we opened on a Saturday, grand opening on a Saturday. Sunday was, we weren't gonna be open. And then Monday it was crickets. I think I made maybe 20, $30 that day.
Okay.
It was crickets. There were these 4 red chairs that we had there and in the lobby area. And I laid across those chairs and I just kind of like daydreamed, like, oh, one day a customer will come in.
Wow. But you had to course correct to where you are now though, right? So what were some of the things that you did to get to move that to again, move that along to how successful you are today?
Okay, so basically, I kind of evaluated what people wanted from a coffee shop, right? Because
Mhm.
we were just a coffee and tea bar, but we were vegan. Vegans don't want to just come to a coffee bar and get coffee. They can go to anywhere and get coffee and ask for alternative milk, right? They
Mhm.
want some type of food or they want some type of vegan experience. So of course we had baked goods. We were sourcing baked goods from a local bakery, but we were like, okay, we need some staple items,
Yeah.
something that people want to come to us for specifically. So I started to come up with some unique um, menu ideas, and our staple became waffles.
Okay.
And our waffles, yes,
Going back to
they're coffee served
breakfast. Going back
easy.
to breakfast.
Yep, they're not your typical waffle. They're made with spelt flour and only 5 ingredients. They're really delicious, more dense than a normal waffle. But we did sweet waffles and we also did savory waffles, and those kind of set us apart because we're doing savory waffles and things that people aren't really experiencing, and I'm coming up with different sauces to put on top of it, and people are trying it out and I'm sampling, I'm giving people opportunities to try these things for free and just to kind of get it out there. And then we started doing sandwiches, and we started this with under $5,000, right?
Wow.
Yeah, we started with under $5,000. We did not have the means to get all the right equipment, right? So we were putting those sandwiches on the waffle iron. The same iron that we were putting the waffles on, we were putting the waffle sandwiches on there too. So
Wow.
now people are recognizing our sandwiches. Like, that's a culture sandwich. That came off the waffle iron, right?
Wow. And that was done out of necessity, huh?
Exactly. We
And
have
look at what you did.
look what we did. And so as we were doing that and we started bringing people in with that experience, now we're like, okay, we're still not 100% there to where we can operate at full capacity. So how else can we connect to people? How
Mhm.
can we really target the people that we want to come into our space? Because we don't want everybody. We want the right people to come into culture and
Mhm.
support us, because we're targeting a certain community of people who want a solid connection, right? And want to feel like they're walking into a space that's home, right?
Right.
So from there, of course my friends were coming and supporting, and they're huge supporters, and always have been. Love my friends. I love my friends. I love my family. And so they help spread the word. There were times where people would just come in and sit for hours. I mean, I'm talking from the time we open at 8 o'clock a.m. until the time we close. We At that time we were closing around 3. People were coming, and they would stay that whole time. We would
Nice.
just sit, we would talk, have deep conversations about the world and life and spirituality and everything. We were really big. We would always give a heart side hug when we saw you, and then a heart side hug when you left. I mean, it was just a space that people would come and get stuck in.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the vibe that at that point I said, this is how I want it to be. I want
Nice.
people to gain. I mean, people have met their soulmates, people have met their best friends, people have really connected on a deeper level and have found exactly the people that they know are their soul family.
Wow.
And it's solid. It's solid as a rock.
So
Um,
fast forward 2023, I guess you can say you've got the groove of culture that
That's
you
the
want.
groove of culture. I understand the mission fully.
Nice. Now let's go back to the entrepreneur part of it.
Mhm.
What are some lessons learned? And how have you said, you know what? Because we all change as entrepreneurs. We are always looking at processes, everything, right? To continue to grow the business and to make sure that we're fulfilling our mission of why we started that business in the first place. So, what are some of whether they're lessons learned or things that you, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, make sure are in place?
Systems and processes, because even though I want everybody to kind of know what they're supposed to be doing, and to me, common sense is one of the best skills you can have. Not everybody has that. Not everybody can come into a space and say, I know what I'm doing, right? So your processes, your procedures, your training is really important. And you got to make sure you know where your money is going and where it's coming and who it's coming from.
Mhm.
Whether you're getting loans or you're getting grants or whatever, you need to know how to apply that money to your business so that you can grow, and know what your growth looks like, right? Because here I could have culture and want it to grow into this super organic connective space, but then maybe I'm not making the right kind of money from that particular model. So what do I need to do in order to
Mhm.
maintain what we're doing as far as keeping people connected, and also make the right kind of money to keep that flowing and keep us growing, right? So I have
Absolutely.
to know what that looks like and be able to separate, and then also keep separate the mind and the heart, but also keep them
Yeah.
intertwined so that the business remains in an authentic flow.
Absolutely. There is that balance between mission and money, right?
Exactly.
You need the money to fund the mission, but you wanna make sure the mission is there too, so I totally get that, totally.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you can give as much free stuff away to get people to understand what you're doing as you want.
Mhm.
But once once that once that does not show in reciprocal value in terms
Mhm.
of bringing growth into your space, then at some point you have to figure out how to do it but not enable people.
Right.
And
And
that
I can imagine, I'm not a vegan, but at the same time, I do enjoy vegan meals, et cetera. So I definitely would believe that based on the mission of culture, that it is inclusive, that you don't have to call yourself a vegan or someone who strictly observes or just observes a plant-based lifestyle to enjoy what you have to offer.
Absolutely. Half of our customers are not vegan.
Okay.
They come in for the vibe. They come in for customer service, and they
Mhm.
come in because our food is good.
Okay. So then let's talk about the food. What is on the menu?
What is on the menu? So we get what breakfast
Okay.
and lunch.
Mhm. Don't come in for dinner, huh?
Don't come in for dinner time. We not serving you dinner. We do waffles, sandwiches, wraps, smoothies, coffee,
Mhm.
tea, and we make all that very unique and fun to experience. So we have our waffles are a spelt flour base. They're a little
Mhm.
bit more dense, kind of taste like banana bread. Super
Okay.
delicious. And we do sweet or savory. We have secret menu items where we could do a half and half waffle for you, where it's half sweet, half savory. You get that
Okay.
experience. We have grilled cheeses. We use sourdough bread, so it's
Okay.
nice and
And what kind
buttery.
of cheese are you using? Is it cashew based or
We use Violife, which is a
okay,
little bit more of a creamy. When it melts, it's a little bit more creamy.
okay.
Yeah, and yep. So we do that, and we
Your
do
sandwiches, what ingredients, what am I looking at for a sandwich?
for a sandwich. So
Mm,
we have a couple different options for sandwiches. We have a chicken salad sandwich, which is
okay,
made with seitan.
okay.
And we use some dill and all that and mix it up and make it delicious. And that goes on a sandwich. And then we have a TTLA, which was actually made very popular by Tabitha Brown.
Mhm,
That's what got her fame.
mhm.
Or that's one of the things that got her fame.
Right.
But so the TTLA, we did that inspired by her. So the TTLA has tempeh, which is a fermented soybean kind of bacon patty, bacon strip, I should say, and it's
Mhm.
well seasoned, delicious. We put our housemade avo mix on it with
Okay.
tomato and spinach, and we grill it up really nice and
This
crispy.
sounds good.
It's delicious. Yes,
Wow.
very delicious.
Now, have you found that you're in the kitchen now experimenting with more, making a lot of the sauces from scratch and just doing more of that? I know people are playing around with different ingredients to create the menu item. So are you strictly curating the menu?
So I collaborate with my staff, and
Okay.
we'll curate items. Most of the menu that we have right now are my recipes, with the
Okay.
exception of a few of the other items. So I did just recently create a chicken biscuit. I'm
Uh-oh.
so excited about this chicken biscuit. I'm so excited about this chicken biscuit. So it is seitan based, but
Okay.
it has the consistency of chicken because I also mix cauliflower in there, so it
Okay.
adds a different texture to it. Oh my gosh,
All right.
if you go to our last Instagram post, I did post a picture of it. It is delicious. It's not chewy. It bites well. It's
Mhm.
amazing. I did it in one try. Like I do most things, I do it in one try.
You got it, huh?
Uh,
Wow.
Listen, put some jelly on it, and it's so good. Yes, so
Now
good.
and you're baking your own biscuits?
We do bake our own biscuits.
Okay. And what are
Yep.
those made out of?
Oh, it's we use basically all purpose flour. So it is
Okay.
a flour based.
Okay.
We use vegan butter and
Okay.
keep it. Our process for the vegan biscuits is delicious. They're nice and moist, and we cut those janks in half, butter them up, put them on the grill, put that chicken patty in there.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so we bake. So we've recently started baking all of our baked goods in house too.
Okay.
We were sourcing before. We were looking for a good baker around here
Mhm.
too. And then one of my employees was like, "I can bake.
Okay.
I love to bake." And
Mhm.
then everybody started contributing to baking, and now everybody bakes.
Nice, nice. Now
So
where do you get your inspiration from in terms of the menu items, that you're serving?
to be honest with you, I get my inspiration from just always traveling and
Okay.
always experiencing different restaurants and things like that. So, but some of the things come to me in my sleep.
Wow.
I had this breakfast potato come to me in my sleep.
It's
Um,
the sleep or the shower, one of the 2.
it's a potato with tofu scramble, cheese, and sour cream, and it's like basically a baked potato, but we
Mhm.
turned it into a breakfast baked potato. So
Nice.
good. So
Awesome. This sounds amazing. So, what is going on in 2023 for you? What are the plans?
so we have a really cool vibe in here, and people keep telling us that we need to do some nighttime events.
Okay.
We've done some in the past, but not. We've let other people do them, like if it's their own event that they wanted to do. So we're honing in on that, doing a little bit more fun food during that time. So it's like vegan junk food type stuff, like Philly
Mhm.
cheesesteaks and Philly cheese fries and stuff like that. We just hosted our first open mic that I planned. I'm breaking out of breaking back into event planning and things like that.
Mhm.
So 2023 we're gonna be doing some more, honing in on the nighttime vibe a little bit more. Um, Doing the open mics, doing hopefully some comedy shows. I have a really fun comedian friend around here who he puts on a hell of a show.
Nice.
Um, and we do this pay what you can day where we basically set a menu on a Saturday. We set the menu and you can come in and you can pay what you can.
Mhm.
That has shown to be really, really amazing.
Love that.
People have pretty much been on the brink of tears because they're like, I needed this,
Good.
and so that's really kind of going getting into more of the philanthropic side
Yeah.
of myself personally, and just really incorporating that into the business. We support our employees very heavily, so I'm really pushing my employees this year to really dig into their own desires and their own dreams. One of my employees has never hosted an event before, and she just
Okay.
hosted her first one last Sunday. It was a super success. She made good money from it. And she feels really good about it. Cannot wait. I mean, they talked about
Nice.
the whole entire week. It was
Wow.
so exciting for her. And she collaborated with a couple of the other employees on the event as well, and some people from the community. And so really pushing my employees. Another one of my employees, we just shot her video to submit to Tiny Desk.
Okay.
So she just did it right here in front of our local time sign. So local time is basically a platform that I created to basically, it's exactly what it says. It's time for locals. It's local time for people to really showcase their talent and
Oh, I love it.
become exactly who they need. So I want her to be a superstar and she wants to be a superstar. So we went ahead and I said, look, come in on Thursday. We'll shoot your video for you to submit to Tiny Desk. So,
Oh,
so I really want to hone in on making sure that all of like my employees feel seen, the customers feel seen, and that we're really taking advantage of the space that we have to expose people to and to just delve deeper into the community that way.
wonderful. Well, where can people find you to get in on all this good stuff?
So I am on Instagram at Culture Vegan, CLTRE VGN. Also on Facebook at Culture Vegan. Yeah.
Okay, and then location, we need to come
Yep.
and see you.
Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're at 1309 Fordham Drive, Suite 106.
Awesome. Well, love, thank you for joining me today. This was very exciting to talk to you about your journey and everything that you're doing there in Virginia. So thank you.
Thank you. And just if you look at our name, you'll see the only letter missing from culture is you.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Well, continued blessings and success to you.